What's up, y'all? What up, y'all? Long time no see. Been a little minute since your boy been up on here. What I do? What I do? Shout out to the real boxing fans out there. We on that late night. I say shout out to the real boxing fans out here. We on that late night. You feel me? Do you feel me? Good night of boxing. You know what I'm saying? That we just had. Real good night of boxing that we just had. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna be up here too long. I want to get my thoughts on everything. You know what I mean? Want to go ahead and get my thoughts on everything real soon, real quick, real efficient. You get up on out of here. You know what I mean? You know. So we had two major cards today, man. But hold on, before that, we gotta make sure we do the housekeeping. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button. And everybody, and I mean everybody, goddamn it, make sure you hit that like button. Let the peoples out there in the highways and the byways know we talk this shit on this side of the earth. You feel me? But back on point. Let's go ahead and get into this. We had two major fights today, man. We had David Benavedez versus Kyron Davis. And we had Jaime Mugia versus Gabe Rosado. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about David Benavidez first. You know, that's more the higher point. You know what I mean? Like David Benavidez is the good news. You know, talking about David Benavidez is a delight. You know what I'm saying? So let's start off with David Benavidez, man. David Benavidez came into this fight, man, and you know, he was very prepared. I thought that David Benavidez was gonna be a little wait. Let's slow down. We're going a little bit too fast. Let's start off first and foremost by congratulating David Benavidez on successfully defeating Kyron Davis in what was a 7th round TKO victory. You know what I mean? Quite an accomplishment for David Benavidez. Kyron Davis gave Anthony Durrell quite a hard time in the ring. And David Benavidez was able to dispatch him relatively easily. So shouts out to David Benavidez for being able to secure that victory effectively and efficiently. Okay, so first and foremost, we got that out the way. We congratulated David Benavidez. So let's talk about the fight now. Okay, so coming into this fight, man, I thought that we would see some ring rust from David Benavidez pretty early on, considering he hadn't been in the ring for a little while. I thought he would come out a little sluggish and a little lethargic. Nevertheless, he came out of the gate pretty quickly. It took him a little bit to adapt to Kyron Davis' style. It took him a little bit to kind of figure out exactly what Kyron Davis was trying to do. But ultimately, he was able to make the necessary adjustments and kind of do what he does best. And that's throw a lot of punches. That's be very strong. That's cut the ring off, and that's be ultra aggressive. So ultimately, David Benavidez was able to do that and do it effectively enough to be able to stop Kyron Davis in his tracks. I thought it was a good performance by David Benavidez. I thought he just did an overall really good job. And I think David Benavidez showed a lot of the reasons why a lot of fighters do not want to step in the ring with him. The punches and the bunches, the power, the ability to make adjustments, the technical ability that David Benavidez actually has. Because he's not just a brawler. He's not just a slugger. He's a guy who has some real technical skills in there and who can go in there and bang with the best. This guy comes from a fighting family. So, of course, he's going to be well-schooled. Of course, he's going to be well-versed in whatever it is he needs to be well-versed in order to be able to get the job done. So, David Benavidez ultimately showed all the reasons why people aren't in so much of a hurry to get in the ring with them. David Benavidez is a problem. He's a problem at 168 pounds. I think a lot of people knew that he was the best 168 pounder, even though he hadn't officially proved it. But a lot of people knew just based on the eye test, just based on him being able to take care of the top guys in the division relatively easily. Anthony Durrell, to me, prior to David Benavidez, was the top guy at 168 pounds post Badu Jack, Andre Ward, those guys. And David Benavidez was able to take care of him pretty easily. So, in my eyes, David Benavidez is the best guy at 168 pounds, and he's the guy to beat. And he showed that he's the guy to beat tonight in this fight versus Kyron Davis. He completely and utterly overwhelmed Kyron Davis, man. Just throwing more punches than Kyron Davis was able to keep up with. But not only that, not only was he throwing punches, but they were effective punches. He was giving Kyron Davis angles. He was out muscling Kyron Davis. This was a live fight, but ultimately David Benavidez showed that he was just a level above Kyron Davis at the end of the day. So again, congratulations to David Benavidez for securing the victory. He looked very impressive, and again, he showed why a lot of guys aren't willing to step in the ring with him. As far as what's next for David Benavidez, man, I think that the sky's the limit for him. He's a 168 pounder, but I could see this dude going all the way up to cruiserweight. He's a big guy. He's a heavy guy. And he could do it. Do I think that he should necessarily do that now? No, not necessarily now, but I think he definitely has the body type to be able to make that jump up in weight should he choose to want to do that. As for right now, there are a few fights at 160 pounds for David Benavidez. One being Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo just becoming an undisputed champion at 168 pounds. David Benavidez is the guy that everybody wants to see Canelo fight, and I don't see who wouldn't want to see that fight, unless you're a Canelo fanboy and you're trying to protect Canelo for whatever reason. You should want to see Canelo Alvarez jump in the ring with David Benavidez. To me, it's just that kind of fight. Like, this is what should happen. This is what's supposed to happen. This is what should have happened really a few years ago. If we really want to keep it a stack, instead of that Yildirim fight, we should have got Benavidez. So now whatever, Canelo's undisputed, and now we have Benavidez that's there. And we get to see that fight, or possibly see that fight. But that's the fight that we're all clamoring for. That's the fight that needs to happen. Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez needs to happen next, and it needs to happen now. As far as other fights, I think David Benavidez could go in there and he can fight Caleb Plant at this point. Him and Caleb Plant have this long-standing beef, this long-standing thing going on. Even though Caleb Plant just lost, I could see him kind of looking for the quickest route back into contention and possibly jumping in the ring versus Benavidez. If he's able to beat David Benavidez for whatever reason, then he's right back in the mix, and he can challenge right back for one of those belts, possibly even a rematch with Canelo Alvarez, if anything. David Benavidez can also fight Billy Joe Saunders. Saunders also coming off a loss from Canelo Alvarez earlier this year. David Benavidez can get him in the ring. I mean, wins over either of those guys, to me, puts more anticipation on a Canelo fight. Should Canelo not choose to take a David Benavidez fight. But, I was saying this earlier about Canelo Alvarez, and I say it again. I just dropped a video talking about Canelo's pay-per-view numbers, and it directly ties into what the fuck we're talking about here, because Canelo Alvarez was able to do 800,000 pay-per-view buys versus Caleb Plant. You know what I mean? A guy who's virtually nobody, a guy who's nobody ever really heard of this dude ever in life. Canelo Alvarez was able to do 800,000 pay-per-view buys from this guy. So with that said, what incentive does Canelo have to jump in the ring with someone more dangerous? I mean, other than legacy, you know what I mean? Because we know legacy-wise, we know that Canelo's been avoiding the tougher fights. We know that, you know what I mean? But at this point, he's able to generate almost 1 million pay-per-view buys versus with Caleb Plant, and he's getting $40 million guaranteed to fight Caleb Plant, and he's generating $1 million in a million pay-per-view buys. I mean, it's tough to try to get somebody in the ring. It's tough to try to get somebody to do what they're supposed to do when they're being incentivized for not doing what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like, Canelo right now is enjoying the high life of fighting whoever the fuck he wants to fight, whenever the fuck he wants to fight, however the fuck he wants to fight. And fans are incentivizing him by continuing to support his pay-per-view, his pay-per-views and things like that by buying them. So if fans are doing that for Caleb Plant and he's getting all the support and all the resources needed for fighting guys like that, then what incentive does he have to fight guys like David Benavidez? So, I mean, I know that they say that it's supposed to be the next fight, a Benavidez versus Canelo, but I don't have a whole lot of faith that that's going to happen next. I mean, just to keep it 100,000. And I think if I'm David Benavidez, I'm like, listen, I need to have my contingencies in place at the end of the day. I need to make sure that I got my ducks in a row and I have other options on who I can fight. Should Canelo decide not to fight me, but to fight somebody like a Triple G or Joe Smith Jr. or somebody, or whatever, in order to avoid the fight with me. So if I'm David Benavidez, I'm looking at Billy Joe Saunders. I'm looking at Caleb Plant. These are guys that Canelo had also fought. If David Benavidez can go in the ring and he could destroy them the way he destroyed Kyron Davis, I think a lot of people would be um, a lot more excited for that fight. I think we'll put a lot more pressure on Canelo Alvarez. That's if he doesn't move up to 175, which, I mean, if he moves to 175, I'm cool with it too. You can go, you can get in there with Better Beef or Bivol, and I think that'd be dope. But if I'm David Benavidez, I'm lining up. I'm getting everybody else in the ring. Should Canelo Alvarez decide not to get back in the ring, and I think David Benavidez, the fact that he was able to get through Kyron Davis pretty quickly, I think he should get right back in the ring. I don't think he should wait. He should be back in the ring in February or March. That's if there's no Canelo fight signed and sealed for May, because I think Cinco de Mayo is supposed to be the next Canelo Alvarez event. But yeah, I would like to see him in there. I think Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant are good options for David Benavidez at this point. Even a rematch with Anthony Durrell. Anthony Durrell just got off of he just knocked out something Hernandez. I forget what his name is. He just knocked dude out. And that was a good win for Anthony Durrell. I mean, that would probably be the last option for David Benavidez for me, because I think that the Saunders fight or the Plant fight would be much better fights, especially the Plant fight, considering there's bad blood there. But yeah. And then, of course, Charlo's waiting in the wings. But I just don't see Jermall Charlo fighting David Benavidez. I don't see him doing it. Jermall Charlo, to me, is more along the mindset of jumping up specifically for a Canelo fight. Like, if I'm Jermall Charlo, for me, it would make more sense to jump in and fight. It would make more sense for me to jump in and fight at 168 pounds, secure a victory at 100%, or a few victories at 168 pounds, and then go after the top guy. But in this particular case, it just doesn't make no sense. I don't see it really working out. I mean, in this particular case, Charlo's looking to just kind of jump up and fight the top guy. It's almost like a money grab, in my opinion. I don't like guys risking it all in order to fight. You know what I mean? I say the same thing about Andrade, and I say the same thing about Charlo. Like, if you guys are gonna go up to 168 pounds, you need to do the shit the right way. You need to go up there, fight a couple of guys, get your feet wet, get acclimated to the weight, get acclimated to the punch resistance. Make sure that you can take the punches at that weight. Make sure that your speed translates up. Make sure that your power translates up. Make sure that your stamina translates up, before you start trying to jump in there versus the top guys in the division. So when guys like Charlo want to just go ahead and move up and fight Canelo at 168, it always makes me a little bit leery. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it is what it is at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I just, if David Benavidez, man, I really like him as a fighter. I want to see him in all in the best fights, the biggest and best fights, because I think the dude belongs at that top level, at that world stage. And and it'll be dope. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. All right, back on point. Back on point. All right. All right, we done with David Benavidez for right now, man. We're gonna go ahead and move on to Jaime Mugia. So Jaime Mugia, man. Oh Lord, okay. Jaime Mugia was able to secure a victory versus Gabriel Rosado, but okay, all right. Let's start off on a positive note. Okay, so first and foremost, congratulations to Jaime Mugia for securing the victory over Gabriel Rosado. He won a 12-round unanimous decision, blase squaze, and he retains his WBO International Intercontinental, whatever minor title that was that he's able to retain. Okay, that's what Jaime Mugia did. So congratulations to Jaime Mugia for doing that. First and foremost, this was a really good fight. I don't want what I say after this to in any way degrade or demean Gabe Rosado. I think Gabe Rosado is a warrior. I think Gabe Rosado is a gladiator. I think Gabe Rosado is a guy who comes to fight, who put his heart on the line, a guy who comes in there, blood, sweat, and tears, swings for the fences, and things turn into a war. I think that Gabe Rosado is just a game fighter, and no matter who he's in the ring with, whether it's Canelo or whether it's Deontay Wilder, he's going to give his best effort, and it's going to be a damn good fight. And he's going to go down swinging. Either he's going to go down swinging or he ain't going to go down. You're just going to get beat up for the entire 12 rounds. And, and that's Gabe Rosado in a nutshell. Now, for Jaime Mugia, okay, let's start off with the good when it comes to Jaime Mugia. I think Jaime Mugia looked pretty good in this fight. I think he looked like he had made some adjustments. He looked like he had made some improvements. He looked like he's worked on a few things. He was able to put together some combinations. He worked a little bit on his defense. I liked a little bit of what I saw from Jaime Mugia. I think that he's an improved fighter from what he was prior. That said, I'm really tired of Jaime Mugia. This was a good fight, but this is a fight that shouldn't happen. I think everybody can agree that there was no reason for Jaime Mugia, the WBO mandatory, the WBC mandatory, to jump in the ring versus Gabe Rosado, a guy who has, I want to say 15 losses, 16 losses. I'm not sure exactly what it is at this point. But this dude has more than his fair share of losses in regards to, just in the entirety of his career. This is a guy who's known to be a tough guy, but not really have the skills, the talent in order to take him to the next level. It's pretty known. He's a known journeyman, is what Gabe Rosado is. Now, Gabe Rosado did secure a very good victory in his last fight against one of those up-and-coming prospects. I forget the guy's name. But that win in itself does not put Gabe Rosado in the position where he should be fighting in a title eliminator, because that's what this was technically. Jaime Mugia is the number one contender for the WBO and the WBC. So that doesn't put Gabe Rosado in the position where he should be fighting for any of those belts, considering the circumstances. So I guess I say all that to say this. Jaime Mugia literally cherry-picked this dude. He literally cherry-picked this dude. This dude forgot. He gave up his opportunity to fight for the belt. He went outside of himself and he fought Gabe Rosado. When he could have fought Jamal Charlo, he could have fought Demetrius Andrade. We could have been seeing Jaime Mugia step up in competition and fight one of these dudes and possibly become a champion tonight. But instead, we watched a pretty good fight. I think we can all agree. But a fight that at the end of the day was kind of meaningless and very much one-sided. We really watched Gabe Rosado just kind of get beat up for 12 rounds. That's really what it was. Was Gabe Rosado able to land a few punches here and there? Absolutely. Was Gabe Rosado able to do a few things here and there? Absolutely. But ultimately, Gabe Rosado was just a level above where Jaime Mugia was. And as a result, we just see Gabe Rosado kind of get just beat the fuck up for 12 rounds. And even at this point, even though Jaime Mugia secured the victory, even at this point, we still don't know how good he is at 160 pounds. Jaime Mugia's best win is at 154 versus Saddam Ali, and since then, we just haven't seen him do anything. This was his opportunity to fight for a belt, but he chose to fight Gabe Rosado. So, okay, fine now, right? The Gabe Rosado fight is done, right? He got Gabe Rosado. He secured the victory. He looked pretty good against Gabe Rosado. He looked like he made some improvements. He looked like he made some upgrades. He looked like he did a few things here, and he looked like he did a few things there. He looked like he did some things over there, and he looked like he did some things over there. So now that you did all that, let's see what you do. Now, let's get you in the ring with one of these guys that we want to see you fight. Let's see you in there with Charlo. Let's see you in there with Andrade. How many eliminators is this dude gonna fight? How many eliminators is this dude gonna fight? Because I think that we can all agree that we're tired of watching guys like Jaime Mugia and Ryan Garcia and dudes like that. We're tired of watching these dudes fighting eliminators. We're tired of watching these dudes cherry pick opponents, that are tailor-made for them, given whatever their style is. Gabe Rosado's not known to be moving around very much. He very much stands in the pocket. He very much tries to exchange, on the inside, doesn't do too much moving. He's very much made for somebody like Jaime Mugia to look good against. So, okay, Jaime Mugia, you look good against Gabe Rosado. What's next now, though? What's next? You turned down Charlo and Andre so you could fight Rosado. Maybe you wanted a tune-up fight. Let's just say that. Let's just say Jaime Mugia wanted a tune-up. Maybe he was out of the ring for a little while. Maybe he wanted a little tune-up, before he gets in the ring with some real competition. Okay, you got the win. So now the next fight should be Andrade or Charlo, because Jaime Mugia is the WBC #1 contender for Charlo's belt and the WBO champion for Demetrius Andrade's belt. So let's see this dude do something worth doing. You know what I'm saying? Let's see this dude accomplish something real. Is all I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, it was a good night of boxing. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing to write home about. You know what I'm saying? We weren't able to really take much from either performances, Benavidez's performance or Jaime Mugia performance. We were able to take more from Benavidez's performance simply because he was, Benavidez was fighting a top tier guy for the most part. Kyron Davis had just gotten in the ring with Anthony Durrell and had a good performance against Anthony Durrell. Even though Kyron Davis was only on like a 2-week camp, I think he definitely, imagine Kyron Davis with a full camp. That would have been a really good fight. I still think Benavidez would have won, but that would have been a really good fight. Much better than what it was, because Kyron Davis definitely showed his heart in that fight. But, ultimately tonight, we weren't really to take a whole lot out of either performances per se. But I do believe that these fights set up the potential big fights for the future. So I'm looking forward to 2022 for both David Benavidez and Jaime Mugia to see what they do in the future. The fights are there. I just need these guys. In the case of David Benavidez, I need him to be able to get the fights. And in the case of Jaime Mugia, I need him to take the fucking fights. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and end this motherfucker out right now, man. I done said what I said, man. It is what it is. If you're new to the channel, make sure you sub to the channel, man. Make sure you hit that like button. Let all the peoples out there in the highways and the byways know we talk that good shit, man. Your boy is supposed to be coming out with another live, man, on my pound for pound list, man. And I keep meaning to do it, but I'm like, I need a good little block of time to do it. And that hasn't been opening up in my schedule. But that's gonna happen real soon for the people out there that's waiting on that, man. But yeah, man, I'ma holler at y'all on the next time. Peace.